Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here. You know who it is, and this is our weekly track roundup where I give you the best and the worst tracks of the week, as well as some of the songs I was just kind of indifferent toward. Cool? Cool. Before I get into this, let me say that down there in the description box is our Amazon Associates link. Anything you buy on Amazon, if you live in the US, after you click on that link, we get kickback from it. Does not add to your overall price. If you're going to reuse it, you need to click on the link again. I feel like I need to say that because there's probably somebody out there who is confused by what I just said, but I digress. A couple more things I want to mention. New live track from the upcoming Sleater-Kinney album, What's Mine Is Yours. That is linked in the description box. Check that out. Also, a trailer from a new movie that Flying Lotus has his hands all in, which looks absolutely insane. That is linked in the description box. Please check that out. And finally, an ACLU benefit album released around the inauguration of Donald Trump actually features some pretty great artists. And while I'm not very happy about the need to release this compilation, I'm glad that we have it. And I feel like institutions like the ACLU are going to be very important moving forward in the next 4 years. So, why not hear some good music and support them in the process? All right. Let's get into the best and worst tracks of the week. Okay. Let's rip off that Band-Aid, get through the worst tracks of the week first. Big Sean, this new track, Halfway Off the Balcony. Big Sean still sounding like a poor man's Drake. Please put a clip up in front of my face of how terrible the lyrics are on this track. God, are they bad. And Big Sean sounds as awkward as ever. He had a few songs that came out around like that point where Kid Cudi and Kanye were beefing that sounded really good, and I sort of had my hopes up. I was like, whoa, he's like finally getting his shit together, and it seems like since then he's just totally fallen off again. So I don't know. Not expecting much from this new Big Sean record. Next on my worst tracks of the week list is this new Conor Oberst song, Napalm. To me, what it comes down to with this track, despite the fact that I loved Conor's last album for how stripped back and folky and well-written it was, is he sounds completely awkward over this funky, keyboard, organ, rock, instrumental. He just sounds so out of place, does not fit his character or his style whatsoever, so I just don't know why it's there. Moving on from that, Angel Olsen with the song Fly on the Wall. One of the songs added to this 100 Songs for 100 Days Anti-Trump compilation. And this song isn't even vaguely political or anti-Trump or anything. I mean, maybe these songs will be going toward charity, and if they are, that's good. I hope that that's the case, because so far what's dropped in these 100 songs is not doing much for the culture, in my opinion. It sounds like one of the worst tracks from her last album, like not My Woman, the one previous to that. Really drab, just draws on and on and on. Not really a significant conclusion to the track either. Just was really kind of let down by this song, unfortunately. Moving on from there, we have this new song from Tim Heidecker, which seems to be in response to that white supremacist memer, Richard Spencer, getting punched in the face, which I laugh at because I think it's funny, but I do not openly advocate using violence against people who use violence historically to push their political agenda, because that really makes me no better than them. But moving on from there, and that's sort of what I feel like this song in a way kind of excuses. Also, it's just terribly recorded, bad lyrics, badly sung. Sounds like a terrible Randy Newman song. The piano playing's pretty weak. But I feel like I kind of continue to give Tim Heidecker's music a bit of a silent pass, because I don't know if it's being ironically bad. I can only hope that that's the case. Moving on from there, it's from first to last. Skrillex brings his old band back from the dead, back from death. Excuse me. I'm a little flustered right now. Whenever I think of Skrillex, I get like that. And this track is such a throwback to all the reasons why West Coast scenester, screamo and emo died, and it just needed to stay back there. And this is just a reminder of why that era of music is kind of dead and gone. And so at least we have that reminder. And then I will finish it off by saying the worst track of the week, in my opinion, was easily this Mike Tyson song, If You Show Up, which is Mike Tyson inserting himself in the midst of this like 50 Cent, Soulja Boy, Chris Brown beef thing with some really awkward flows, awkward lyrics, but goddamn the music video on this thing. The music video. Probably the best thing to come out of this whole thing. Although I will say the track is hilariously bad. At least in a sense it is entertaining. Moving on from there, let's get into the Met tracks. We have Migos with the song What the Price, a very sad song from the Migos about something that every dealer is forlorn about, having to raise prices or pay higher prices. Although, sort of my disappointment with this track is that it sounds like a Travis Scott song. Just sounds like a leftover Travis Scott song. Sounds like they're ripping off Travis Scott. Just sounds like a Travis Scott leftover from Birds in the Trap or something. Not really sure what the point of doing that is, but just kind of a lackluster song from Migos that just sounds like somebody else. From there, it's King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard with the song Sleep Drifter. Not a bad track if you're into experimental, psychedelic, garage rock. Just not one of the best singles from the new album. Not a song I'm crazy about, but I'm sure it may sound good, sound better in the context of this new record. We have this rapper named Cuz with the song Pots and Pans. I'm sure you know what that song's about. Featuring Killer Mike of Run the Jewels and Killer Mike fame, because he's just fucking awesome on his own. And this track, awesome beat, awesome Killer Mike feature, although I will say that I don't think Cuz really came through and like left that much of an impression on me with his lyrics and his delivery, although, you know, I will look out for another Cuz track because, I mean, the track is certainly well put together, and, you know, I'll just leave it at that. And you may see this guy live because I hear he's opening up for Run the Jewels at some tour dates. Moving on from there, Timbre with Sewer Blues. Did not want to put this track in the mess section, but unfortunately I have to, because kind of the throbbing, drab, flat instrumental here is just completely lacking the finesse and the whimsy and the eeriness that I typically enjoy hearing from Timbre. Sure, the trademark deep, kind of nostalgic vocals are still there and they still sound pretty good, but this is not an interesting song from Timbre, in my opinion. Really kind of lackluster track, and hopefully the deeper cuts on this forthcoming record are a little more electrifying and emotionally enthralling too, because I really wasn't kind of getting that feeling of horror or sadness or sorrow that I typically get from Timbre. Wasn't really registering anything emotionally on this track. It just felt like very despondent and cold, kind of like a cold fish of a song, I guess. In my opinion. Moving on from there, Arcade Fire dropped a new track this week featuring Mavis Staples in reaction to the Trump inauguration, and here are my thoughts on that. But bam! New Arcade Fire song featuring the legend Mavis Staples, and it's actually not that bad of a track. Apparently all the proceeds to this track go to the ACLU, obviously for a good cause, and obviously this track is in response to the election of Donald Trump. Doesn't really take too much reading into it to get that. And while there are a lot of things that I like about this track, it sort of has a griminess to the production. I especially like how dirty kind of the drum machines feel on this track. The very heavy, fat, monstrous bass line is awesome. I love the lumbering groove of this song. And the way that Mavis Staples is incorporated into the track is actually really good. I think she fits pretty snugly into the sound of this song. I guess my one problem with the track is that it's so goddamn repetitive. It's just kind of the same refrain being hashed out again and again and again. Although the band and Mavis do approach it in different ways with different levels of intensity. It's a decent track. It's just a tad underwritten and instrumentally just kind of sounds like a leftover from the band's last album. But, you know, I guess hopefully Arcade Fire comes through with a new record this year, and this song in a way is teasing toward that, even if it is just kind of meant to react to this one political moment in the now. Gorillaz also dropped a new track this week, new single, first single in like 6 years or so from what I've seen, and it featured none other than Benjamin Clementine on the song, and here are my thoughts on that. I don't really know what to think about this new single. I love it when Gorillaz challenge themselves by bringing in new artists, fresh blood, people who are up and coming, people who are doing something interesting, and Benjamin Clementine ticks all of those boxes, but I'm not really sure whether or not his whimsical and very dramatic singing style, which I do like on his own albums, is complemented all that well by Gorillaz' very quirky electronic production on this particular track. I do like the tune at the core of this song. I think the choral vocals in the background are really uplifting and triumphant and beautiful and awesome. I'm just kind of questioning whether or not the marriage of these two worlds came together all that well. Most likely not going to go down as one of Gorillaz' best singles, but I guess a reason to be excited for the forthcoming album. Rapper Jonwayne has a new single out titled Out of Sight. This track was okay. Wasn't that crazy about it. I've never been a big Jonwayne fan, although I am going to give his new record the old college try, but sort of the uneventful delivery and flows on this track and just kind of how subdued and, very monotone sort of the whole song feels in a way is part of what has turned me off about his music in the past. Hopefully I end up getting a little bit more out of it in the future. And finally, I will close this section of the video with the new Ty Segall track, Break a Guitar. Certainly seems like a well put together track for Ty, though it's more of a run-of-the-mill instance of psych and garage rock worship more than it is inventive or, sort of challenging or experimental or adventurous like many of the cuts off of his last record. But Ty Segall, he's all over the map. You can't define him by one record. You can't sort of say, oh yeah, I'm not a fan of him anymore, because he's always got something new under his sleeve. He's always got a different project coming out. He's so prolific. So this may be one of those projects, if all the songs kind of follow suit with this track, this may be a song that, or I guess an album rather, that maybe I kind of sit out where I'm just like, it's not for me. I'll wait for one of his more clear and punchy or adventurous records, I guess. But yeah, this one was all right. Let's move on to what were my favorite tracks of the week. Quite a few. We have Your Old Droog, New York rapper, with that raspy, smooth flow. Once again, great instrumental, lots of wordplay in the bars. And this track, G.K.A.C, has me psyched for his new album. Moving on from there, Spoon, the new single from their upcoming record, Hot Thoughts. This track has loads and loads of sexy, visceral dance grooves all over it, and a kind of sour, dark chord progression that I thought was really good too. Moving on from there, J. Cole, High for Hours. Best J. Cole song in a long time. One of J. Cole's best songs, period. J. Cole, what you did on this song, you closed those lyrical gaps. You actually came through with some thoughtful commentary on the world at large, especially with how people deal with oppression, as well as revolution, and I guess kind of the challenges that people face as a result of an unfair system. This is the J. Cole I want to see more of, even though instrumentally and sonically the song was still kind of subdued, still is probably going to put a lot of people to sleep, but I think this is one of his more thoughtful tracks, and hopefully in the future he continues to drop songs of this lyrical quality. No, bars about farting or anything on this song. It's just a good quality, thoughtful hip-hop song from J. Cole, and I just hope to hear more of these in the future, because I do think there is potential there, and it drives me nuts when he falls short of it. Aimee Mann has a new song out, which is a beautiful ballad with lavish instrumentation hanging in the background. Very, I want to say heartening, very heartening tune. Powertrip, this crossover thrash band, has a new record coming out via Southern Lord Records very soon. Awesome riffs, awesome energy, and I mean, obviously the lyrics on this thing are really grim and really dark and violent, but I find the title of this track, Executioner's Tax, Swing of the Axe, hilarious. Yasutaka Nakata of Kyary Pamyu fame has come through and I guess is with a new single and is stepping out past the curtain behind the scenes, putting his face on the cover of this new single, and has orchestrated a song with Charli XCX, Kyary Pamyu, and it's this fun, colorful, eccentric, bouncy, bubbly little pop tune with lots of kaleidoscopic intricacies worked into the production, a lot of J-pop appeal to the songwriting, and Charli XCX, even though I may find her vocals a little obnoxious on this song, it is still a decent track, and I don't know. Actually, I think one of the better pop singles I've heard so far this year might end up on my year-end list. So I'm moving on from there. We have United Nations with the song Stairway to Mar-a-Lago, another one of the better songs that are in reaction to the Trump inauguration. This has a bit of a post-rock, post-hardcore vibe to it. It ascends beautifully. It's got a heavy climax. It's super intense, never lets go of that momentum, not for a second. It just plows and plows and plows and gets It's more and more intense as it goes along. I love the chord progression of this track too. It just reminds me of like some of the awesome post-hardcore and post-rock fusions of the 2000s, sort of like Envy or something like that. If you're a big Envy fan, I think you'll probably get into this track. Moving on from there, Kirk Knight with the song Setup featuring A$AP Ferg. Banger! Banger! Awesome instrumental on this thing. A$AP Ferg kills it. Can't wait for him to actually drop a good album once again. And Kirk Knight actually comes through with like one of his better tracks. Hopefully he delivers some more distinct and memorable cuts on his forthcoming album rather than kind of drowning in his influences a little bit, which I think he did on his last. Joey Badass with Land of the Free. Another one of the better anti-Trump songs that dropped around the inauguration. Some very thoughtful political critiques on this track. Also, Iron Reagan. These guys are another crossover thrash band. They have a new album coming out very soon, and this track is a part of a new flexi disc that they have released that is also in response to the whole Trump inauguration thing. And of course, it's a very grim, apocalyptic, dark, in-your-face, energetic crossover thrash. Those riffs are awesome. That punk energy is there, which is why I can't wait to hear their new record because I feel like it's done so well. We need some more good crossover thrash in 2017. And finally, I will end it off with Dirty Projectors, the song Up in Hudson. Awesome little ballad here, very subdued, but beautiful, and a track that sort of maintains those original qualities of the Dirty Projectors that I like so much while pushing it a little bit toward that alternative R&B sound that David Longstreth is obviously going for. It doesn't seem like he's compromising so far that I don't even know why I'm listening to the group at this point. It still sounds like I'm listening to a Dirty Projectors song, but sort of a newer, braver Dirty Projectors, updated for 2016. That sort of sounds like the freshness and the familiarity, the mix of those two that I really want from this record. But who knows? Maybe those cuts, those singles that I disliked from the album thus far, maybe they'll grow on me. I don't know. We'll see. But this is a decent track from that upcoming record, in my opinion. Do give it a shot. And those are my best and worst tracks of the week, guys. All of them are linked down there in the description, along with that Amazon Associates link, along with those other things I mentioned. And that's it. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some good recommendations out of this thing. And you are the best. See you guys in the next video forever.